about art. Sit back and relax so the show can now start.
Hello and welcome to episode 4 of The Art Show. This is the show where artists from the Office Hours Live community get together to discuss their craft while drawing Art Garfunkel. I'm your host, Brian Benelli. In previous episodes, we've covered colored pencil art, digital art, and pen and ink art. And today, Sarah Reeds is here to teach us all about acrylic art. For the past 3 years, Sarah has been making some tremendous on-cinema/Office Hours Live fan art, earning her the title of Tim's Official Painter. If you have the Drop Concert vinyl, Sarah made the painting of Tim that adorns the inner sleeve, which is pretty neat if you ask me. Now, before we move on, I just need to point out that the footage from this episode was taken from 2 separate Zoom meetings that were filmed months apart, so try not to be too alarmed when everyone suddenly has different clothing and hairstyles. Without further ado, here's Sarah Reeds.
Okay, so I did not take enough pictures, but anyway, basically you sketch it out just like Ellie and Brian were talking about, where you line up the eyes, and from the eyes you go line up the nose and the mouth and everything. And like Brian was saying, it's important to make sure that your drawing is how you want it before you start, because sometimes I would get into painting and then realize something wasn't right, and I can kind of change it, but it's better if your drawing is exactly how you want it. And yeah, so once I start painting, I just kind of start blocking in the colors, and it'll look really ugly and really bad at first. And you just gotta trust the process. Like, that looks terrible, but and I just kind of look at all the colors and as you're going, you sort to notice, other things. Like, there's a lot of oranges kind of in his hair. And I was really blocking in like all the dark parts, and then adding some red tones to the face. And then you can I add in some highlights too. I just kind of go back and forth between shadows and highlights, and just kind of keep layering and layering until it's kind of where I think it's finished. Yeah, like actually there's like a weird color in there. It's kind of like an olivey green in the hair, which maybe you wouldn't necessarily see right away, but yeah, and lots of yellows in the skin tone, lots of kind of blue grays with the shadows. I don't use black to like do shadows a ton, and sometimes in clothing, but a lot of purples and blues to use in the shadowing. Yeah. And my favorite part is doing all the little like details. Like, I like doing all the little white curly hair and stuff. All those little highlighty bits are the funnest part, because that means you're almost done. Yeah. And I also hate painting clothing, like Brian. I like to do the face and nothing else.
Yeah.
And I hate doing hands.
I love his rosy cheeks.
Yeah,
Really
he has really rosy cheeks. Very pointy, thin lips.
Yes.
And like very distinct eyelashes too, which were funny. I was like, yeah, the eyelashes are funny.
We've been told that he wears eye makeup, but
Yeah, I could see that.
Oh, yeah, that makes.
Well, I once sat in the second row at a concert and he looked directly into my eyes, and I was like, oh my gosh, homeward bound.
Whoa.
It's beautiful, Sarah.
Thank you. And yeah, I like to paint the background black a lot. I don't know. I just find I have tried other colors, but black, just everything kind of pops off of it. I don't really like to paint backgrounds so much. I like to just kind of keep it. If I don't have to, I don't like to, but I have. But I find that more challenging. I just like to kind of have it, the portrait, and then pop off a black background is usually what I do.
Okay. So so this is acrylic, correct? It's not oil.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sorry, it is acrylic, and I painted this on a canvas board. And so I kind of switch between canvas, board, and wood panels is usually what I like to paint on. And always acrylic. I haven't ventured into any other like oils or watercolors. I've tried and I'm just not familiar with them. I'm just so used to painting in acrylic. It dries quick.
Right. That's the
And
big
I,
selling point with acrylic is that it dries quickly.
yeah.
And see, so it's like it's I guess it's thought to be easier to work with than oils, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's not as like blendy. I know oils are really good for blending, and I'm just impatient, so I don't like to wait. I wouldn't want to wait for it to dry. So I know it can take like days or
Right.
months to dry sometimes. So that's kind of, I've tried and I wasn't sure how to use them. So I tried once and gave up pretty easily, but I'll probably try again. But yeah.
And now when it comes to the actual paints,
Mhm.
is there any brand that you like? Do you find that it matters the quality of the paint, like how much you spend on them or anything like
I
that?
mean, when I first started painting, I just used like dollar store acrylic paint and it was fine. But then I started using like, not, I don't use like crazy expensive paint, but I don't use like dollar store paint anymore. Like the consistency, it's like a lot thicker and the colors are nicer. It does dry nicer. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't even know what brand I use. I just go on, there's a Canadian art site that I order stuff from, and whatever's on sale is what I get. But yeah, I don't spend a ton I'm not one of those people that spends a ton of money on like paints or like, because I don't know. I think it still works. It works for what I do. So I'd say it's like $8 a tube or something for like, I don't even know. I don't have it with me, but should I get a tube of paint?
No, don't.
I don't know what the brand is. I can't remember.
Do you have an
And
extra
it's probably
large?
Canadian. Sorry?
Sorry, I'm sorry. Do you use an extra large white and an extra large black because you use them more often?
Yep. Yeah. I have like I buy the white in like sets of like 3 or 4. It's like a big
Yeah.
pack. And then yeah, the black, same thing. Because I use more the white than anything, but yeah.
It's never enough, right?
No.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Sarah,
I
do
use
you
a lot
have
of
like
white.
do you have like yellow ochre and like burnt umber? Do you have those
See, like that's the thing.
fancy ones?
That's how little I know about what I'm doing. I just kind of I don't focus on the paint color names. I just kind of I'm like, yeah, I have brown. I have different shades of brown. And I use kind of I don't know. I don't use like a ton of all different colors. I make my own colors a lot. So yeah. I
You once
mix most of my own colors.
Now, Sarah, you're self-taught too, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And yeah, I did a little bit of painting here and there in high school when I was, art class, and I in my bedroom, on my bedroom walls, I painted all over them as a teenager. And then I didn't paint again like after I had Milo. I didn't paint for years until COVID started, and then that's kind of when I picked it up again, and I've been doing it ever since. So yeah, like 2 years ago, it's kind of when I picked it up since high school. I was saying I feel like a bit of a fraud, not knowing all the paint colors and what they do, but I just kind of I don't know, I just kind of wing it and it seems to work for me. But yeah, I guess that's the thing is I'm just doing it for fun. But I think it's important to learn too,
I
what
think
each
that's
color
the best
does,
way. I was gonna say
but
that
yeah.
that's the best way because I mean, being self-taught is amazing because in art school they basically teach you how to do exactly what the person sitting next to you is doing and exactly what people did over centuries. And if you figure it out yourself, you might come up with something new. So yeah.
Yeah, I always get told I have a distinct style, and I don't know how to ever take that. Like, I don't know if it's like a good thing or a bad thing, but yeah.
It's a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good.
So I kind of like to water down my acrylic quite a bit as I'm layering. And that kind of, I get like a nice smoother blend. And sometimes I'll even use my like finger and kind of smudge it a little bit. Like, I try and match colors as best I can. And like in my job, I do a lot of color matching. And so I'll often hold the paintbrush up to the image, like with the paint I've mixed, and just see if it matches and see what colors are all in there, because the skin tones have so many colors in them. You know, there's like blues and yellows and reds. There's all sorts of tones. It's not just one. There's a lot of different tones in the skin. And I paint people all the time, so that's kind of what I'm always looking at, is what colors can I see?
Right. Let's see. And now for your canvas, what do you use?
I painted this one on a canvas board. I kind of use a bunch of different things. I've actually got it here. It's like just a flat canvas board. But sometimes I'll paint on a wood panel, and they're a little thicker. I don't think I have one, right? I do have one. Like sometimes I'll paint on these, which is like a wood panel, and they're just made of wood. And so I do that. You got to sand them and then prime them first. I don't know, they're just kind of a nicer finished look. With like this, you obviously need to put it in a frame or something. And then sometimes I paint on paper. Sometimes I just I painted on like watercolor paper. I've painted on like, I don't know. I just kind of, whatever I am into the mood for. I change it up all the time. But yeah, I like the canvas board because it's flat.
And now, do you have to like spray anything on it? Do you like have to prime the canvas or anything like that?
Yeah, like I don't prime, like the canvas board is free. I'm sure you could, but I just paint right on the canvas board. For the wood panel, I sand it, and then I use where is it? I use this gesso. Again, I have no idea what I'm doing. This works. And then I'll sand that again to make it smooth. And so I do that if I'm using the wood panel.
So I had a question about, you said that you watered down some of your paints. What kind of technique do you use with watered down acrylics?
Sometimes I'll start, like, I've painted on watercolor paper a lot, and so I would water down the acrylic to kind of, because I was afraid to put down such a solid layer because acrylic is so solid. So I'd be nervous to start, and I like to kind of having it a bit translucent. Or yeah, I think it's more just like if I'm afraid to have it get too dark, I'll just kind of layer, like, I don't know if you can see like some of the shadows and stuff, like that's like watered down, like acrylic. So it's like not super dark. I don't know, that's not typical for acrylic, but it's what I do.
And that's a wrap on episode 4. In our next episode, we'll be answering questions that you sent us on social media. Speaking of, if you have any questions, comments, complaints, or drawings of Art Garfunkel that you would like me to share, feel free to DM me. I am the Brian Benelli on Twitter and All the President's Man on Instagram. Until next time, so long, so long.